The debate over rugby's laws has once again taken center stage. And this time the discussion is not about introducing a revolutionary new format or completely rewriting the rulebook. Instead, attention has turned to 7 relatively small law changes that many believe could dramatically improve the game. World Rugby has spent years trying to make international rugby faster, safer, and more entertaining, introducing innovations such as the shot clock, reducing unnecessary delays at lineouts and conversions, and encouraging quicker restarts. Those efforts have produced positive results, with ball-in-play time reaching some of the highest levels seen in modern rugby. Yet despite those improvements, one problem continues to frustrate players, coaches, referees, and supporters alike. Test matches are still being interrupted too often, penalties continue to dominate crucial moments, and referees frequently find themselves deciding the outcome of the biggest games. As rugby enters another exciting era featuring powerhouse nations like the Springboks, the All Blacks, Ireland, France, England, Scotland, Argentina, and Australia, many experts believe the sport has reached a point where small adjustments could deliver enormous benefits. Rather than asking referees to make even more difficult decisions, the goal is to simplify the game, reduce controversial moments, and allow players to decide matches with skill instead of repeated whistles. The discussion has quickly gathered momentum because almost everyone involved in rugby agrees on one point. The game is at its best when the ball stays in play. Every supporter loves watching attacking rugby, fast transitions, and brilliant individual moments rather than repeated stoppages for technical infringements. Yet despite improvements in fitness, tactics, and officiating, matches continue to be interrupted by penalties that often leave both players and fans confused. Modern referees are under more pressure than ever before. Every decision is replayed from multiple camera angles, analyzed on television, dissected across social media, and debated by former players and pundits for days afterward. In many cases, a single marginal decision becomes the defining talking point of an entire test match, overshadowing 80 minutes of outstanding rugby. That constant scrutiny has created enormous pressure on officials, even though refereeing standards are arguably higher today than at any previous point in rugby history. The first proposed change focuses on the scrum, one of rugby's most iconic but also most controversial areas. At present, a technical infringement during a scrum can immediately result in a penalty worth 3 points, even though very few people inside the stadium truly understand what caused the whistle. Whether it is an early engagement, collapsing, boring in, hinging, or an incorrect bind, these decisions are incredibly difficult for referees who must judge multiple front row players simultaneously while crouching just a few meters away. Critics argue that awarding 3 points for such technical offenses gives far too much influence to decisions that often remain unclear even after repeated slow-motion replays. Their proposal is simple. Turn most technical scrum penalties into free kicks instead. Teams would still be punished for infringing, but the reward would no longer be an almost automatic shot at goal. Instead, sides would be encouraged to attack, increasing ball movement and reducing the likelihood of major tests being decided by one technical scrum penalty near halfway. The second proposal addresses one of rugby's most debated situations: advantage combined with yellow cards. Imagine a defending team commits a professional foul. The referee signals advantage, the attacking side continues playing, and seconds later scores a converted try worth 7 points. Under the current laws, play then stops, the offending player is shown a yellow card, and his team must continue with only 14 players for 10 minutes. Many believe this effectively punishes one offense twice. The attacking team has already received the ultimate reward by scoring a try, yet the defending side must also suffer a lengthy numerical disadvantage. Supporters of reform believe referees should have greater flexibility in deciding whether the try itself is sufficient punishment, reducing unnecessary periods where one team plays with fewer players and allowing more contests to remain 15 against 15. Another proposal involves deliberate knock-ons, a law that has generated endless controversy in recent years. Currently, many deliberate knock-ons automatically result in yellow cards regardless of where they occur on the field. Critics argue that context should matter. A player deliberately preventing a certain try inches from his own goal line deserves severe punishment because the consequences are enormous. However, committing the same offense near halfway, with several defenders still covering and no obvious scoring opportunity, arguably should not receive the identical sanction. Introducing greater flexibility would allow referees to distinguish between cynical professional fouls and less damaging infringements, creating outcomes that better reflect the actual impact on the match. Attention then turns to the breakdown, long regarded as the most dangerous and technically demanding area of rugby. Every collision involves players arriving at tremendous speed, attempting to secure or steal possession while remaining on their feet and entering legally. Unfortunately, many clearouts occur so quickly that neither referees nor spectators can clearly identify whether players have bound correctly before making contact. The suggested solution is straightforward. Require players to demonstrate a visible bind immediately upon entering the breakdown before initiating contact. Such a change would provide referees with a much clearer visual reference, reduce dangerous shoulder-first clearouts, and improve player safety without fundamentally altering the contest for possession. Another fascinating suggestion concerns the lineout. Under current laws, if the throw travels beyond 15 meters, the lineout technically ends, allowing defending backs positioned 10 meters away to rush forward immediately. Ironically, this discourages one of rugby's most creative attacking options: the long throw over the tail to a charging runner. Coaches rarely use this tactic because defenders receive an immediate advantage once the lineout is deemed complete. Law reform advocates believe adjusting this rule would encourage more attacking creativity, giving teams another exciting weapon and rewarding ambition instead of unintentionally helping defensive systems. Perhaps one of the simplest proposals involves the driving maul, a tactic that has become increasingly dominant during the closing stages of test matches. Once a maul has formed, additional players can continue joining from behind, making it extremely difficult for defenders to halt momentum legally. Critics suggest introducing a rule preventing new players from joining once the maul is officially established. Such a change would reduce repeated stoppages, speed up the final minutes of matches, and prevent teams from simply consuming valuable time while repeatedly resetting massive rolling mauls close to the try line. The final proposal examines the famous choke tackle, a defensive tactic popularized by Ireland around the 2011 Rugby World Cup. By holding the ball carrier upright and preventing the ball from reaching the ground, defenders force a maul before eventually earning a scrum when the ball becomes unplayable. It is undoubtedly an effective defensive skill, but some argue that its reward encourages teams to stop the game rather than compete for possession in open play. Instead of automatically receiving a scrum, reform supporters believe alternative outcomes could better encourage continuous rugby, rewarding defensive excellence without creating another lengthy stoppage. Collectively, these 7 ideas share a common objective. None seeks to remove rugby's physicality or complexity. Instead, they aim to reduce the number of situations where referees become the central figures in deciding massive international contests. Consider recent clashes involving the Springboks, All Blacks, Ireland, France, England, Argentina, and Scotland. Time and again, post-match conversations have focused less on brilliant tries, tactical masterclasses, or heroic defensive efforts, and more on contentious yellow cards, scrum penalties, breakdown interpretations, and controversial officiating decisions. That is never healthy for the sport. Players train for years to perform on the biggest stage, coaches spend months designing game plans, and supporters invest emotionally in every contest. Ideally, the lasting memories should revolve around spectacular rugby rather than endless debates over refereeing interpretations. Importantly, these proposals are not criticisms of referees themselves. Modern officials operate under extraordinary pressure while enforcing one of the most complicated rulebooks in professional sport. Television match officials, multiple camera angles, slow-motion replays, and constant public scrutiny have only increased expectations. Every marginal decision is instantly shared online, dissected by experts, and criticized by passionate supporters from both sides. Rather than demanding perfection from referees, many believe the smarter solution is to reduce the number of game-defining decisions they are required to make in the first place. World Rugby has consistently shown a willingness to experiment with law trials in pursuit of a better spectacle. Recent innovations have successfully increased ball-in-play time, accelerated restarts, and encouraged attacking rugby. The current discussion simply represents the next stage in that evolution. Whether all 7 proposals are adopted, only a handful progress to formal trials, or none move beyond debate, they have already sparked valuable conversations throughout the rugby community. Coaches, former internationals, referees, analysts, and supporters all recognize that rugby continues to evolve. The challenge is ensuring those changes preserve the sport's traditions while improving the overall spectacle. Ultimately, rugby has always thrived when skill, courage, teamwork, and intelligent decision-making determine the outcome rather than technical controversies. If these proposed adjustments succeed in keeping 15 players on the field, reducing unnecessary penalties, speeding up the game, and allowing stars from the Springboks, All Blacks, Ireland, France, England, Scotland, Argentina, Australia, and every other leading nation to decide matches through their rugby rather than repeated whistles, then they deserve serious consideration. The future of international rugby may not require sweeping reforms after all. Sometimes 7 small changes can make the biggest difference.